You all come in. This session is about to start. Come in, have a seat. This promises to be the most interesting session. So get ready. And there's no lady on the panel, Well, I wasn't supposed to be on this panel till this morning, so questions for the social media London/Lagos team. No woman on the panel.
No comment.
Actually, I think to protest, I should sit there, moderate it from there. What do you guys think, yeah? Yeah, girl power. Okay, good evening, everyone, and I want to thank everyone for being here from noon. Some of us are hungry, some of us are not, but I think it's really exciting that we can all come and sit down and share our stories on how we're using social media to move our nations forward, on how we're using social media to do great things. And I believe that listening to other people tell their stories, it'll kind of like put everyone in check, and you see where you're going right, what you're doing wrong, where you need to make some changes and things like that. My name is Chioma Chuka, and I am a blogger, social media, lover kind of person. I also edit Why Naija 2015, which is a platform designed to educate young people on politics in Nigeria. Part of the conversations here this evening talked about social media etiquette, and I believe, and this is the dream behind Why Naija 2015, that if people are not educated, there's a limit, regardless of how much technology you throw at them, there's that limit to which their conversations will go. There will always be that bar over which they will not ascend. And so Why Naija 2015 seeks to educate young people, put news and analysis out in a way that they will understand. So the plan is the idea is to go beyond regular news programming, regular news broadcasts, and put these stories in the language that young people understand. So it's not uncommon to come on our site and find things like Twitter Voltron, and words that you would find only on Twitter, because we want young people to own this media and consume it in such a way that in 2015, when they're asked to come out and be relevant in politics or vote for someone, they can say, you know what, I've been following Why Naija 2015. I know a bit about this person, and based on this knowledge, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. Coming back from politics and how social media is driving entertainment in Africa, everyone seated in this room knows that Africa is the next big thing. It's like, we're no longer Generation X, we're like Generation Z or Generation something, some other alphabet, because not only are we the youngest, this is like where there's fresh blood, Back in the day, and I'm going to explain that. I will explain that. You would hear sometimes, for those of us who are familiar with the old Nollywood, that was, that had its roots in, everything diabolical, and it seemed like a Nollywood movie wouldn't be complete without some shrine or something. You would hear someone who was looking for money would be told to go and find a young virgin, go and look for fresh blood. In the same way, Africa is the fresh blood of today, because not only do we have the youngest people, I dare say we have the brightest minds. I'm African, I can say that. We have the brightest minds. We have been able to exist and succeed in the midst of so many challenges. And sometimes it beggars belief what we would be able to achieve if we're actually in places where things worked. And so I have a beautiful, well, not beautiful, they are men. I have a gorgeous panel here this evening. Gorgeous will work. And they're going to be talking about how they've used social media in the different, various brilliant things that they do. I have DJ Abbas. Anyone who's been to the Nigerian corner of the Notting Hill Carnival should know DJ Abbas. And if you don't know him, then I don't know which corner you've been going to. But DJ Abbas is brilliant. I've heard of him. He's one of the people that you call the Ogas at the top of the Nigerian music industry, both in Nigeria and in England. You're welcome to our panel. We have Robo Akin. When you hear Robo Akin, maybe not when you hear Robo, maybe when you hear Cocoa Bar, you immediately think party. Well, seated in this room this evening, we have the founder, the owner of Cocoa Bar. You're welcome. We have Mr. Alexander Amosu. And permit me to say that, I'm like moderating the panel, right? So I will tell him now in the presence of everybody that depending on, the eye contact, what bling he promises to give me after now, he might speak, or I might tell him, there's no time, 20 seconds, and he won't say anything. So, just... Next up, we have Mr. Ike Onwara. He's He would tell us about himself, and then we have Digger, and then we have we have Mr. Obiasika, who incidentally is the founder and chairman of Social Media Week Lagos. Co-founder. I'm the other founding partner. And I hope that our conversations this evening are going to be brilliant, are going to be rich, are going to be robust. I invite everyone to please have a comment even before they start speaking, because you already know what they do, you already know what they're about. And so without any more statements from me, I'm going to invite the first person, and that will be, I think it will be Mr. Alexander Mosu, going by the bling thing.
What would you like me to talk about?
Talk about how you use social media to drive your business.
Oh, okay. So, which one should I?
Link first.
All right. So I'll talk about the world's most expensive champagne, because maybe that might be the most current thing that we did on social media. So I use social media a lot. I use it to interact with my audience, and I feel it's a great tool to bridge the gap between myself and being able to communicate not just only, say, UK, but globally, and get my information across the world quite quickly. So I recently got a franchise for a champagne brand, which I bought for the whole of Africa, and we were looking at ways of how could we communicate this new sort of deal across the pond. I mean, the champagne brand wasn't really known as such, and so what we decided to do was come up with the most expensive champagne in the world. You're probably wondering why it's so expensive. It's not that it's made of the Virgin Mary's blood or anything like that. We just decided that we were going to buy a very expensive diamond to add to the champagne. So we decided to launch it on Twitter and using Instagram and Facebook to kind of create the hype. So we created this bottle, put the picture up there, and at that particular time we were looking for a buyer, but as the time went on, we actually found a buyer who decided to buy it. So we kind of created a good story, because everyone was talking about this most expensive champagne in the world. Have you seen it? And it started really from Twitter. We didn't actually did any PR or send it out to any press. We just literally put it on Twitter, talked about it, and before I knew it, all the press were picking up this most expensive champagne. What really helped was that there was a few celebrities we decided to throw the most expensive champagne to in their direction, which they put it on their Twitter, and that also had another sort of adverse effect. Through that social media connection, literally everybody got to find out about what the champagne brand was about, and obviously the fact that we're launching in Africa. So it's a great platform, so I think everyone should definitely be encouraged to using social media as a way of communicating their products. I tend to use it a lot to communicate my products, as well as some inspirational tweets. So I use it more on that kind of level. That's a kind of a quick generic, yeah.
Let's go on to Mr. Coco Bar.
Oh. All right. My name is Rob Whiting again. Just regarding what she says about our general businesses doing regular events and also concerts, and I think we're more known for the concerts we do just across the road are the Indigo O2 and also the Hammersmith. Regards social media, it's quite funny. When we started this whole process, there was no social media, and at that time it was about giving out flyers, on the street, sending SMS, expensive SMS, very regularly, and also some television. And I kind of remember when I first noticed social media. I was quite, I'll call myself old school at that time for what I saw. I remember Nice, a Nigerian artist, came into the UK, and I just kept on getting this, join Facebook, and what is this Facebook rubbish that's come to my phone? And I remember going onto it, and I saw Nice, he had 90,000 followers. I'm like, what's going on here? Who is this guy? And that's how I found out about him, believe it or not. And we weren't really doing the concerts as such, we were doing smaller events. And we got into social media, and found out I set up a lot of, fan pages, all those things that everyone sets up on. And we started with that, and what we found is it's worked for us to promote the events a lot cheaper. And we found out that we became like the Nice. We started dating everyone, with content from what we do. But going forward with it, what we found is every time we had content. I'm talking about developing content for TV. We caught adverts, we caught a new TV series about the event or pre the event. Putting on social media, we had more viewers than on television. We had more feedback than on television. We found out that the tickets were converting faster than on television and even on SMS. And what we found is, it got to the time when we employed, I think, about 8 people sitting behind Twitter and Facebook, and all they did was communicate with people every day for 8 hours or 10 hours. And what they did was handshake people in the media space and brought them in to buy tickets. So it was a case where we had staff and said, look, your job every day is to convert anyone you meet online to 4 tickets a day. And believe it or not, that's how you sell our concerts. And for us, it moved on from 2,000 to 4,000 to 5,000 capacity concerts, and from 1 concert a year to 5 concerts a year, to running events across the country and running about 77 events a year. And all this grew up from having access to social media, and that's how people get to know who we are. It's quite funny. I go to Nigeria and I see people going up to me, Rockman, how are you doing? I'm like, God, I don't know you. I'm like, hey, I saw you on Twitter or on Facebook. Oh, really? But that's what social media has done for us, and it's made a big difference to what we do. And it's quite annoying as well, because we're constantly on the phone like that. But it's because we are constantly engaging, and information has now needed to come up quicker, because the lifespan of everyone on Twitter or Facebook is like, 2 minutes. Everything you've done 2 minutes ago is now relevant. The next is now the next 2 minutes. So it's now become a big part of what we do, and a bigger part than actually traditional media.
Okay, I think an already developing question is the role of advertising, versus social media, and if one is slowly but surely cancelling out the other. But we'll get to that when we're done, obviously, because next up, DJ Abbas.
Hi everybody, my name is DJ Abbas. My name clearly indicates I'm a DJ, but also I'm a media marketing consultant. I started in this business of entertainment by default, by error, and like Rockwell rightly alluded to, it was via text messaging, which was the thing at the time, and then came High Five, which was my introduction into social media, and I knew at the time that this was just for me. The Nigerian diaspora, I'm Nigerian, the Nigerian diaspora is estimated at 17.something million, we've got the statistics, and the African diaspora is perhaps 3 times that. And I live in the UK, and what social media has been able to do for me personally is bridge that gap between Africa and the diaspora. There are usually underlying currents about we against them in the past, and that's becoming reduced because I've got an 18-year-old, and it's important for me, for my son, to retain his African values. As he has the best of both worlds. He's born here, he goes to Nigeria every now and then, but then it's important he wakes up and speaks the language and also gets a platform to network. And when the music thing kicks in, it's my prayers were answered, because without me as a DJ urging him, I wake up in the morning, I can hear him playing whiskey in his room, and I didn't have to give it to him. And social media was responsible for that, and that has been replicated in all the communities all over. Yesterday we had the premiere of one of the hottest movies in Africa right now called Flavia, and we've been able to go so far with that film because of social media. It's part of our lives. A few years ago, I just would say, I'm not going on social Facebook for gossips. What are you hiding? If you don't look for it, it will look for you. And pretty much it's out there. I've got about 5 of different accounts just for me, and I have about 16 accounts I manage for different businesses. It's become an extension of my life. And everybody sitting down here, you probably have 2 or 3 phones, all equipped, and social media friendly and ready, to get out to the world. So for me, I'm into movies, I'm into music, I'm into fashion, I'm into food, African, and social media has become the foundation. I used to have a TV show, producer and presenter a TV show 10 years ago, which was the first music show answered by produced by an African, for the African diaspora in this country. And at the time, intro. And at the time, we just do our show, leave the studio was a live show, and then when High Five came out, take photographs and put on High Five, and I said, 15 comments this week, 25, 30, and it went on the up, and I said, you know what, we need to start to milk this thing, and then MySpace came, tons and tons of such platforms. But for me personally, the most important thing social media has done is connected the African diaspora back to their home territory. In a situation where those back home only call our children the lost generation. And I don't have my uncle handing him, bring him home, let him come and bring university. No, it has made the world smaller and much more beautiful. That's my story.
Global villages built and nurtured via social media. Next up, Mr. Ike Onora.
Hi everyone, my name is Ike Onora. I run a small company called Strictly Entertainment, and we are a music publishing and distribution company looking after African artists. With us, social media, I would say we are relatively new in this whole thing. I mean, we've observed how it's progressed and things like that. And I've kind of been a bit of like the old school where there's too much different. Today is Twitter, tomorrow is Instagram. Speak up. There was just too many different platforms coming out. But as time went on, what we were seeing was the artists that we were kind of interacting with, we were educating them on how to use the technology. We weren't using it ourselves. And it got to a point where we said, okay, it's time now for us to really shape our business and take it into the digital age. And so in terms of when we look at social media, in terms of what we do with it, it's about sitting down with artists and really, especially African artists, because we don't have the luxury of being able to have a billboard campaign and tour support as major artists in this country. So what we have as Africans, being Africans here in the diaspora, to connect, but it's about understanding how to use these different tools. All these different things can do different kind of services, and a lot of times people are using these services wrong. So it's about sitting down and educating them about the different types of campaigns you can pull together to enable yourself to get that single release. For example, in the UK here, if an artist is going to release a song, they usually have like a 2-3 month lead up all the way up to that. And in Africa, we just today, one track is up, tomorrow it's another one. But what's been happening in Africa is we're using that social media to build an infrastructure and create a system. What you're beginning to see right now in Africa are much more sophisticated forms of campaigns gradually coming out. And social media is at the heart of driving this. So what we tend to do is sit down with artists and say, okay, you want to get your track released here in the UK? We now need to put together a type of campaign. You might not have the kind of budget in place to tap into certain types of promotional opportunities, but what we can do is look at your Google Hangout, your YouTube, your Facebook, your Twitter, and put together different types of calculated campaigns that's going to help you penetrate the market and get the kind of impact.
Thank you very much. We're going on to Digger.
Yeah. Hi, my name's Digger. I run a small company, even smaller company than his, called 51Lex Records. And also I work with a company called The Orchard, who are the largest independent distributors of content in the world. Very different to these guys. Social media, the digital space, almost killed my business. I used to run a small record store. And at the start, we were doing really, really well. It was based in Soho, in the West End, and Westwood, whoever it was, came in and bought all their music, and we had a great rep. And then probably about 12 years ago, I saw takings going down. And I kept hearing this thing over and over again. Yo, man, I only take 3 of those records because I got the rest on the internet. I kept thinking, what the hell's going on? And people were downloading music, not buying, and we were going out of business. I was then fortunate enough to meet a guy called Scott Cohen, who is one of the founders of The Orchard, and who basically is one of the guys who has set up digital distribution as we all know it today. And for years and years and years working in the music industry, working for majors, I've been trying to get them to actually take African music seriously, but apart from world music and Youssou and Do, I was like, no, then those are young kids, they're doing hip hop and R&B. No one was interested. And Scott said, Digger, let's set something up and we'll do it. Get the music, we'll give you the marketing, we'll start selling it. And we basically started from zero, and I probably think 10 years later, we're one of the largest distributors of African music, and we control about 100,000 tracks. So my experience with social media was quite different. I was actually forced to embrace it. If not, I was probably going to sweep in the streets of London or something. Moving on from that, we started working on campaigns. And it was, first of all, is what a lot of people do is you go out and you go record and you do your press and blah, blah, blah. You pay a plugger, you pay a PR person, you pay people to do all these functions. And we realized that everyone was slowly moving to mobile phones. So we thought, let's just concentrate on using social media. And basically, cut a long story short, we've evolved from basically messaging out releases, messaging out tour dates, messaging out what the artists are doing, encouraging the artist or the labels to actually connect with their audience. So actually, possibly the last campaign I ran, which is quite interesting, was for the P Square Personally video. And what we did was, it was all hush-hush. We delivered it to Vivo, we did a Vivo exclusive, and we didn't tweet it. We just made it go live on a Tuesday. And we were watching the comments on the Vivo page, and the first comment was, "Oh my God, P Square back again." And we watched the hits rise, and it was absolutely incredible. So social media is absolutely amazing. I think the key thing for me about social media is you have to devise your way of using it. Because what's happening now, I find, is a lot of people are just going, he's doing that, so I'm going to do that. And the idea is it's almost like a conversation. Speak to people the way you you would have a conversation with someone, rather than going, well, he's speaking with an African accent, so I'm going to speak African accent, so I pretend I'm doing that. And that's what we do. We just kind of help people sell music and try and connect with fans globally. That's it.
Thank you very much, Digger. Finally, Mr. Obi Asika.
Thanks. I feel like I don't really have much to say after all these guys have spoken. But it's interesting because, it's funny, I'm connected to everybody on the panel, not just personally, but professionally. In the sense that social media, it was funny, Abbas said high five. I remember, is it Small World, high five, all these things. I used to find them ridiculous. I was like, why is anybody trying to do this? But my wife in 2007 just convinced me. The summer of 2007, I'll never forget. She goes, yeah, try this Facebook thing. So I go on Facebook the first day. They had 37 million subscribers. I'll never forget. I said, 37 million people on this thing. I said, Jesus Christ, a lot of people have got nothing to do with their time. That was just my immediate thought. I'm like, these guys have nothing to do with their time. So I get on the platform, and the first thing, I'm just liking the fact I like images. So the pictures got me. And I realized I was actually checking this thing every day. A month later, I suddenly realized I suddenly have 300 friends. From where they came, I didn't know, but I was like, I have 300 friends. And suddenly we started realizing that, wait a second, we could use this thing. And at the time, Digger and I had been on this mission about African music and the UK, and how we're going to do this whole takeover with no money. Meanwhile, knowing full well that it's all about the money, because in actuality, what social media has actually done is given us access, because nobody gave us access. We just had to take it. All these guys here have disrupted using social media. And if they hadn't done that and social media tools hadn't been available, we may not even be having this conversation. And it actually comes almost to the conference itself, Social Media Week Lagos, because it's almost the same conversation. My partner on this, Ngozi, who is somewhere working in the background, comes to me like September last year. She goes, this thing, Social Media Week. I'm like, what the hell is that? She goes, I said, well, yeah, it's not bad. Let's try it. October, the guys in Social Media Week, the founders, like, why should I come to Nigeria? I think the government of Nairobi had contacted them. The South African, somebody in Cape Town, and of course these are very sexy places if you've been there. I've been to Nairobi, to Cape Town, and yeah, very nice. And I was like, well, those are great cities, they're gateway cities, but your destination is Nigeria. So if you want to spend 5 years getting to us, you can do that, or if you want to start where we actually are, I think you should start in Lagos. Fortunately, they agreed with me. Meanwhile, I'm just saying this stuff, I really have no idea what's going to happen. Me and Ngozi are thinking maybe we'll do a one-day thing over the 1 week, maybe one event a day for the week. And we start going to sponsors. No sponsor has a clue what we're talking about. Anybody who's been to Lagos knows that to do one event in Lagos in 1 day is an absolute challenge. As Ngozi told you, we did 150 events in 5 days. I still don't know how it happened. We had 300 million impressions. CNN in Nigeria, the government tries to get to people like CNN. They've been spending 7 months trying to get CNN to interview the president. Meanwhile, CNN are chasing me to come to Nigeria to cover our week. And we're like, this is incredible. It's the first time they came for human engagement. They didn't come for me personally, they came for the Lagos activation. And what you've seen happening now with social media is that I was privileged to produce Big Brother Nigeria. It is still the biggest television production in the history of Africa. And principally, it's social media driven. All the television, all the content, all the entertainment that you're seeing coming out of Africa is social media driven. But then the other thing you've got to see that's happening as well now, for me, which goes way beyond entertainment, it comes into education, e-learning, technology. So suddenly, I mean, I wouldn't have known, I'm sure people here don't know, that there are 18 technology hubs in Lagos alone. I mean, Femi's here somewhere with his crutches hiding in the background. And I mean, these guys are incredible. There's a place in Lagos, some kids converted the secondary school curricula to a mobile thing called Efiko. If you're Nigerian, you know what Efiko is. And it's available on all Nokia handsets. I mean, there's so much disruption going on. And the reality is, as Amara said earlier, our government and our corporates really haven't gotten it. And maybe it's good that they haven't, because they might get in the way. But we do need investment, we do need support. Now I'm doing a pitch.
I was just going to say.
I have no idea what I'm talking about. I just lost my track. But anyway, just to go back quickly, my time is up, so I'll shut up.
Thank you very much. Can we put our hands together for all the wonderful people we have up here? Now, easy. Okay, so please, let's try to speak up a bit. I'm just going to quickly round up before we all put our hands up. If you have a question, put your hand up. Really? Just 3? For first round, all right. Okay, so quickly, we've heard social media opening doors, leveraging platforms, reducing the cost of advertising. For some people, this started out almost as a negative, but I mean, I think that's the beauty of it, even with corporations and organizations who use social media. The opportunity to change what would have been a negative into a positive is very, very, very available, and it just depends on how you tap into it. And so we've also heard about, how social media is intersecting with every other part of our lives, especially with the kids who have transformed their curriculum into, something on their phones. Phones for kids is just about fun, it's nothing serious. And so if they have their curriculum on phones, I think it helps them a bit. There's a challenge around going beyond people who are connected, but that's not what we're supposed to talk about. So I will throw this open now, and who has a question? Still 3. We'll start from the gentleman here.
Thanks. Hi, my name is Mark from B3 in London. I have a question for each of the panel. We talk about digital Africa, and we also could link that to the digital diaspora. We talk about also creativity, innovation, talent, and content. But I'm curious about how do we monetize, and also how can we connect with the Caribbean, African America, as well as obviously Europe, in a way which utilizes our innovation, intellectual property, and creativity. That's it.
Okay, can we take...
one more thing.
Right.
I want to say, Omi, this has been amazing. Thank you.
Can we take, the other questions? The lady.
Okay. All right. I work for Vox Africa TV, and I'm into sales and marketing. So I had a question for you. It seems like social media has taken over any other kinds of advertising. I'm thinking, does it mean now TV, radio advertising is just irrelevant, but that we should stop advertising? Because it seems like you found your way to save money and better advertising. So I want to find out what is it has become really relevant to advertise on TV and radio, for instance.
Okay, we'll take the third question of this first set. Who was the third? Yeah.
Hello everyone. My name is Aki. I run a website called waitingday.com. Firstly, I just want to say that I think your stories were absolutely fantastic. Very interesting stories. My question to the panel really is, every single sort of initiative has a phase. Just the way MySpace had a phase, Hi-Fi had a phase, Facebook will have a phase, Twitter will have a phase. What do you guys see as the next best thing to come out? I'm hoping that will be from Africa, but it would be interesting to see what your views are.
Okay, before the panel starts responding to the questions, we've got just 10 minutes left, so now we're going to have to speed things up a bit. So our panelists, can we make our answers as quick as possible? Thank you. So who wants to start with? Okay, go on. We're starting with his question, monetizing.
I think in terms of monetization, I think that's the primary concern of everybody globally, actually, generating content into the digital space. I think in terms of, you know, I mean, I'm a YouTube official partner, and I don't get excited by the returns. I mean, you get 500 million views and get $1 or whatever it is. So obviously, we're looking for new models. You know, in our environment, mobile is the first screen. I mean, there's less than 2 million desktops in Nigeria. There's 120 million phones. That tells you all you need to know. So I think anybody who's got ideas on monetization and how we can embed content, I think branded content embeds from brand support is one of the key ways, and we're beginning to do that. We're beginning to do that ourselves in television production and push those online and see content from there. That's what I'd say.
Anyone else on monetizing?
Working with the Orchard, I've probably have a privileged seat in being able to sit in meetings regarding the new business models. People come to us and go, I want to sell music online, blah, 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 blah. I need your catalog. What are you trying to do? And usually what happens is they give you this pitch, and then you go, so why should I close my iTunes account and come to you? And they go quiet. So I think regards monetization, what you have to understand is basically we kind of like started from ground zero again. If you think about now that digital music sales accounts for probably 36% of global revenue in the music industry, it's growing. It's growing 9% a year as well. And it will take time. And also, we've now found out, right, okay, we've got some strong business models, digital downloads, streaming, ad-funded, models are out there. Subscription models, I mean, that is actually growing thanks to the growth of mobile. These are going into, in what's going in the Franco-speaking countries, Vodafone, not console music is unfortunately dead. But you got loads of different models coming up. And then what you're going to have is, I mean, my view, and I've had discussions with people about this all the time, is my view about monetization of music in the future would be, think of it like electricity bill. You pay a basic, and if you use more, it goes up. That's how I see it. So when you open a bank account, when you open you open a store account, you will have X amount of music free guaranteed, and then you're able to top on that. So it's evolving all the time.
Thank you. It's evolving all the time. Yeah. Wonderful last statement. Let's move on to the.
Just add one other little twist on that. One other key area is the publishing, and that's one thing that a lot of African artists do not pay attention to. And I get that. In Africa, things aren't structured. But guess what? Your music's being played internationally, on the international platform. There are clubs, bars, restaurants, different forms of African businesses that play your music internationally in the Western world on a daily basis. This is why we set up the publishing company, so that you can register with us.
That's another pitch, isn't it?
Well, whichever. To register with a publishing company, and we connect the dots. Through the DJs, we have the African DJs Alliance. Through them, we're able to know where all the DJs are playing. We can then track if these venues have the appropriate licenses. And guess what? In this country, if you don't have a license and you're playing music, they can shut you down within a week. But they ain't going to do anything if you're not registered. So once you're registered with us, we can connect the dots.
With us.
COSON, by the way. The CMO in Nigeria is now aligned with PRS in the UK, which actually means that the Nigerians can begin to collect, because we have millions of pounds hanging all over the world that we haven't been able to collect.
Moving on to the question about advertising very quickly. Now I'm going to go to Robo and to DJ Abbas, because they talked about, using social media to advertise. Please, very quickly, so we can take more questions.
Okay, regarding advertising, I know Vox Africa very well, and we do talk about advertising, and we argue every time about advertising. I think I stopped advertising on them for some time now, so not because they're not great people, it's just cheaper to go online. No, but I'd say, well, what I see with a TV channels need to start embracing IPTV, and you need to come online as well, and literally get the eyeballs. So we come to you because your eyeballs are online as well. And once you got those eyeballs, we'll advertise on you because you got the eyeballs. Because all we're looking for is eyeballs. I mean, a good example is Linda Ikeji, Bella Niger. I keep on telling them they're like television channels. Everyone goes there to find out what's happening in Africa. And once you go there, hence, you know, the lady is everywhere enjoying her life from just having a portal that everyone goes to. So we've worked with TV channels, you know, come online and literally embrace the social space as well. And, you know, we will come to you.
On to DJ Abbas.
Yeah. I consult for and work in different capacities before African TV star stations in the UK. And the biggest problem I realize is, first, they are not creative and imaginative enough, really, in targeting this new market that's online. A good example of a channel that's actually working well with that model is Channels TV in Nigeria. And when they had the popular My Oga at the Top skit, it was an interview, a 90-minute interview, but then they just cut out different segments. And that's part of how smart, you know, it's a long interview and they cut different segments of every interview and load it up because different stuff excites different people. No one's going to sit there and watch an interview for 90 minutes. But then I watched Oga at the Top for 1 minute, and I believe I was actually the first person to push it out. And I got about 86, 87 hits on my blog. I think that day I couldn't sleep. I'm thinking, wow, you know, you won't get that on television. So people need to get more imaginative in terms of connecting. Just say, oh, I set up a business. Everybody's on social media, open a like page and sit down. No, you got to work it. You got to work it. You know? So part of the package you should be selling to potential advertisers is the chance to do the stuff on tele, but let them know. We also have a very, very good online thing, you know. So sell the double package, be creative, be imaginative, and try and touch your target market, Nollywood, fashion, film. What do Africans do? Food, extension here, Brazilian. Trust me, but you need to know how to touch them. You know, merging both. I think you get there.
Part of touching them is taking their questions. So who else has questions here? Now you have questions, don't you? Okay, we have 5 minutes left, so we need to be really quick. I'm not going to take Femi now. No, I will take you. Yeah, I will take your question. Sorry, sounds wrong. I'll take your question, but after I've taken that from that gentleman, from this lady, and from this gentleman here. So really quickly, please. Yes, one question for one member of the panel.
Here, I'll ask it. My name is Federico Cribiori, and I work for a private equity fund that invests in Africa. And my question was, I think one of the advantages that all you guys have is that you have young people's ears and young people's eyes, and social media has clearly helped you in doing that, but your content's also clearly helped you in doing that. So my question is how you're using that connectivity and your content to help promote responsible behavior, things like education, things like savings, things like governance we were talking about earlier.
Okay, next question from the gentleman wearing the spectacles.
Yes, hi. My name is Donna Mokwe, and I work in television down here. My question is mainly for Obi in that sense. Over the next, one of the biggest things in digital right now is mobile and video. And this in itself has huge ramifications for television, because that means that this is going to revolutionize television, meaning that the way we see television today is not going to be the way we see television in years to come. And I'm not talking about the online or any of those mediums. But my question to you specifically is, how, as a TV person in Nigeria, how are you using the new form of data mining in that sense to be able to make intelligent programming in that sense? Because we as producers, we make programs and we say the audience would like it. But now you now have to look at the audience and see what the audience wants through data to create your own program. So how are you working within this space in Nigeria?
Question from the lady. Please, quick. No, that lady over there. We have 1 minute. So we either start bribing him or we move him out of here to be able to take all your questions.
Hi, my name is Theo. I run a fashion consultancy. And I just want to actually talk about the debate of data itself, because I'm from the old school of seeing, touching, feeling, being there. And then, you know, opposed to the virtual world of not seeing anything. It's all virtual, but it's real at the same time. And, you know, you've got Facebook, Vimeo, Twitter. You've got all these accounts that are very time-consuming. So how does one actually form a strategy in terms of social media? And data in itself is so overwhelming that how do you actually infiltrate and engage a particular specific consumer group in order to sort of maximize the impact of your message?
Okay, there's one final question from, it was from this gentleman, and then we'll take answers.
Hello, my name is Nosa Egbenedian. I'm a film director. My question is, open to anybody who, thinks, who wants to answer it. Obviously, social media has helped change me as a filmmaker and my industry as filmmakers because it allows us to raise funds socially rather than having to rely on traditional film investors. My question is, what metrics do you think are the best for investors to look at with regards to social media campaigns and fundraising campaigns?
And with that question, we come to the time up sign. Can you guys quickly run through your answers? Very quickly.
The gentleman that asked the third question, I believe, what was quickly your question again?
Responsible campaigns.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It touches on what he's asked.
It touches on.
Yeah, it's just about the same thing. So one person can take both questions.
Yes, my question. Hello. My question was about what's the next, what's the next best thing after Facebook, Twitter, Vivo? What's the next best thing coming out?
Well, the best thing I would say is use all these different platforms, but always drive people down to your own website. That's where you're going to really conduct your business, on your own website. Because the moment Facebook decides to shut down tomorrow, your 10 million fans or whatever is gone. So you really need to direct that traffic.
Really quick.
Just to say to that as well, just also be aware of, like for example, they were saying earlier that Facebook is the biggest network in Nigeria. It's not. The biggest is Mixit, Eskimi. Eskimi is some site from Togo. These are guys talking 9 million users a day. Chat rooms on feature phones, they're not smartphone. Okay, the Eskimi is from Lithuania, the other two are from South Africa.
Can we take the other questions, please, very quickly?
In answering this lady's question,
strategies.
If I heard you like management, right? Is that what you're saying? Management of social media because of the vast variety of what we have right now.
It would be great to have a collaborative social media platform where you would actually go into one space and be able to get like-minded people who are into music, fashion, film.
I think that as it is right now, obviously remember all these platforms are businesses as well. So with the exception of those who are going to have collaborative efforts in terms of mergers, everybody's doing their own thing. But ultimately, the user out there picks what interests them. Some people will tell you, oh, it's Twitter now, Facebook is dead. But I tell them that I'm a visuals man, I like visuals, I'm in business, so pretty much I do all. If there's anything new, I'm on it, and I try and work it. But however, I have my favorites, just like everybody out there. So most people gravitate towards more what they like. But for those of us here and the likes of you out there, we are businesses. So, and there are people who do this as a business. Some of them, I've got like I manage 14 accounts for businesses. I've got 5 for myself, and it's increasing by the minute.
Okay, let's go on to the question about responsible social media, responsible use of social media. Who wants to take that on? Alexander?
Well, I don't know if my, I guess, being a business person, I have to be quite careful what I tweet. I can't just be unreasonable and start using F words and this and, so I have to kind of focus and make sure that my tweets are, one, ethical, because a lot of people who are probably reading it may look up to me and think, I'm a role model. So I have to kind of look on that aspect, but also I use it as well to sometimes plug charity works and kind of engage people. I kind of use it more probably on a day-to-day basis on more inspirational tweets, things that I go through that I feel that can connect with people and they can actually uplift them on a day-to-day basis. I don't know if that answers your question in terms of...
More about like promoting education.
I was going to tell you, there's a number of talents in Nigeria who have built major social media platforms, and therefore you've now seen campaigns across education, advocacy, literacy. The chap who was on an earlier panel, Light Up Nigeria, was talking about the power deficiency issue. And they've used social media and created enormous platforms and campaigns. And before that happened, it was almost like the 70% had no voice. Not just no conversation, they had no voice. There's no outlet. Where were you ever going to get heard? And that's the democracy of information is unbelievable. So there's a lot of stuff.
Going on to that as well, Nas did something the other day which was he needed to raise a family lost their home and he wanted to raise a certain amount of money so they can build a new house, and he basically went out on Twitter and Instagram and basically raised the full amount of money needed for that family. So I guess there's an interaction.
In Nigeria on a constant basis we've had a situation where celebrity producers, talents have had a medical issue, they don't have insurance cover. The campaigns on Twitter, they raise the money.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your answers. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. I'm sorry if I can't take any more questions, but if we don't find a way somehow to get him to put that time upside down, then we really have to say thank you to everyone and move on with the next bit of the program. Oh well, he hasn't put it down and he's not smiling very much. So I'm going to thank my panelists for being great. I'm going to thank DJ Abbas. I'm going to thank Robo. I'm going to thank Alexander. I'm going to thank Mr. Ike Onora. I'm going to thank Digger. And I'm going to thank Mr. Obi Asika. Could you guys give a bow? Try not to fall. Thank you very much. You've been a wonderful audience. My name is Choma Chuka again. Thank you.